Let's talk about cholera. It's a name that sounds like it belongs in a history book, right? A relic of the past. But the thing is, it's very much alive and well. It's a silent predator that can erupt anywhere you find crisis, poverty, and contaminated water. So today we're going to dissect an outbreak, really get into the anatomy of it to understand how it works, how it spreads, and most importantly, how incredibly simple it is to stop. So let's start with what is, honestly, the central mystery of this whole thing. Just how can a disease kill you in a matter of hours? I mean, think about it. A person can be perfectly healthy in the morning, and by the end of the day, they're on the brink of death. What kind of biological process could possibly be that fast and that brutal? Answering that is really the key to understanding cholera. Okay, so the first clue is its signature symptom. Doctors have a name for it: rice, water, stool. And look, this isn't just regular diarrhea. It is a flood, a constant, painless, watery expulsion that looks pale because it's flecked with bits of intestinal lining. Your body is literally emptying itself of all its water. It's an absolutely alarming sight, and it is the engine that makes this disease so deadly. And when I say a flood, I am not exaggerating. Get a load of this number: 20 liters. That's over 5 gallons. It's the amount of fluid a person with a severe case of cholera can lose in a single day. Just pause and think about that. It's an almost unimaginable amount of fluid to lose, and it's exactly why the dehydration is so fast and so catastrophic. So how do doctors see this happening in real time? Well, they're looking for these telltale signs, and you can see just how quickly things go from bad to worse. A patient might just start out restless, irritable, really thirsty. But within hours, they can become completely lethargic. Their eyes look deeply sunken, their pulse is weak or even gone, and their skin, well, if you pinch it, it just stays tented up. That's the body shutting down. Okay, so we've seen the crime scene, a body that has been violently drained of its fluids. So now, for the next phase of our investigation, let's unmask the perpetrator behind this attack. Who's the killer? And here it is. The culprit isn't some scary virus or a parasite. It's this tiny, comma-shaped bacterium called Vibrio cholerae. It's a waterborne organism, it's mobile, it's tough, and it just so happens to thrive in the exact same environments where humans are at their most vulnerable. But here's the crazy part. The bacterium itself isn't what's directly hurting you. It's all about its weapon, a really powerful exotoxin. And this toxin does something pretty clever. It doesn't actually destroy the cells in your intestine. No, it performs a hostile takeover. It hijacks your own cells and reprograms them to do one thing and one thing only: pump out massive amounts of water and salts. So this is exactly how that attack unfolds. First, someone swallows a big dose of the bacteria, usually in a glass of contaminated water. Then the bacteria set up camp. They attach themselves to the wall of the small intestine. And once they're anchored, they start pumping out that toxin. The toxin then flips a master switch inside your intestinal cells. And just like that, the floodgates open. The cells become these relentless little water pumps, and that's what leads to that catastrophic fluid loss. Okay, so we've identified our killer and we've identified its weapon. Now let's track its movements. How does this microscopic attacker travel from one person to another, creating these huge epidemics? The way it spreads is, well, brutally simple. It's what scientists call the fecal-oral route. A cleaner way of saying it, it's the disease of dirty hands. The bacteria leave an infected person's body and get out into the environment. The #1 superhighway for a big outbreak is contaminated water, but it also spreads through food that's been washed in that water, or even by flies that carry the germs from waste to your meal. And this really gets to the heart of it. Cholera isn't just a random medical problem. It is a disease of inequality. It preys on the vulnerable and absolutely thrives in conditions of poverty and crisis. You can think of these as the ingredients for a perfect storm. Overcrowded refugee camps, cities that have been shattered by earthquakes, war-torn regions where sanitation systems have totally collapsed. These aren't just risk factors. These are the actual breeding grounds where Vibrio cholerae explodes from just a few cases into a terrifying epidemic. Now, after all of that pretty grim news about how deadly and efficient this disease is, the story takes a really surprising turn. Because the way we fight back, the cure itself, is astonishingly simple. But first, let's just be crystal clear about the stakes here. If you get a severe case of cholera and it's left untreated, it is almost certainly a death sentence. The mortality rate can be over 50%. The body just cannot survive that level of dehydration. And that makes the solution we're about to see even more remarkable. And here it is. This is it.
the single most important concept in the entire fight against cholera. It's not some high-tech drug, it's not a complicated surgery. The cornerstone of treatment is simply rehydration. You just have to put the water and salts back in faster than the disease can pump them out. And it's done with this simple but totally ingenious formula called oral rehydration solution, or ORS. It's just a precise mix of water, sugar, and different salts. And the sugar is the secret ingredient here. It acts like a key that helps the intestines absorb the water and electrolytes way more efficiently, directly fighting what the toxin is doing. A little packet of this powder mixed with clean water can literally bring a patient back from the brink of death. It's incredible.
So what about antibiotics? Where do they fit in? Well, they play a really important supporting role. They don't cure the dehydration itself. That's the main killer. But a drug like doxycycline goes after the bacteria. This shortens how long the person is sick, reduces the sheer volume of diarrhea, and, crucially, it stops the patient from shedding as many bacteria back into the environment. And that helps contain the whole outbreak.
So if we have such an effective and simple treatment, why are we still talking about cholera in the 21st century? To figure that out, we need to zoom out a bit, from treating sick patients to fighting the long-term war on the disease itself.
Because, make no mistake, this is not ancient history. The current global pandemic of cholera actually started back in 1961. And just look at these more recent dates. Haiti after the devastating earthquake in 2011. Yemen in the middle of a brutal civil war. And just in 2022, nearly 500,000 cases were officially reported across 44 different countries. This is an active, ongoing global health crisis right now. And ultimately, winning the war isn't just about treating cases as they pop up. It's about preventing them from ever happening in the first place. The best defense, always, is public health infrastructure. It's about making sure everyone has access to safe drinking water. It's about building toilets and sewer systems. And it's about simple things, like teaching people the importance of washing their hands with soap. Now, we also have modern tools like oral cholera vaccines, and they offer really good protection. We're talking up to 95% in some cases. So what's the catch? Well, that protection is temporary. It only lasts for about 6 months. This makes them a fantastic tool for controlling an active outbreak or for protecting high-risk groups. But they're no substitute for the permanent fix: clean water and sanitation for everyone.
And this really brings us to the core paradox of cholera. On the one hand, you have this absolutely devastating disease that specifically targets the world's most vulnerable people. But on the other hand, we know exactly how to stop it, and we know exactly how to treat it. The science on this is completely settled. And that leaves us with this final, really provocative question. If the cure can fit in a tiny packet of powder, and prevention is as fundamental as a clean glass of water, why does cholera still sicken hundreds of thousands and threaten millions of people around the globe every single year? The answer, it seems, has a lot less to do with microbiology and a lot more to do with economics, politics, and what we choose to prioritize as a global community.